I came across the Festool Domino when I was considering building a dining room table several years ago. Upon further research, I came across the Domino 700, the Lamello Zeta P2, and finally the Mafell DDF40 dual dowel machine. I initially purchased the Domino and then followed up with the other mentioned machines because I wanted to know for myself which machine I thought would come out on top. Recently, I got a question about which machine I would purchase if I had to make my purchase decision today. I'm not a professional woodworker, so take my opinion with a grain of salt. My opinion is a practical opinion for those who, like myself, dare to venture into high-end tool purchases. This is not gospel, it's simply an opinion. The short answer is the Festool Domino. The Domino provides a good all-around experience. You can achieve the accuracy of the Mafell dual dowel machine while also having the ability to mortise loose slots to accommodate any slight imperfections in your work. The Domino's connector pricing stands in the middle of the cheaper dowels used with the Mafell dual dowel machine and the Lamello Zeta P2, which is at the high end. If you do choose to purchase the Festool Domino, I would recommend waiting a little longer to get the newer version of the Domino, which has already been announced. Personally, I feel as though the upgrades are worth the wait. The long answer is it depends. If you plan on working primarily with sheet goods and the cost of connectors does not scare you away, then the Zeta P2 is an excellent, albeit more specialized choice for joinery. You can use the Zeta for joinery other than sheet goods. However, the price per joint can become price prohibitive if you're not making a living using this machine. It is extremely convenient to use as it feels like you're assembling Legos. Parts snap together without the need for clamps in many applications. This is one of the attributes that I would put above the Festool Domino. Finally, you have the Mafell dual dowel machine. It's priced between the Domino DF500 and the Lamello Zeta P2. It is extremely well made and accurate. You can achieve high precision with this machine. You're not getting a lower quality machine if you go with the Mafell. What you're getting is a cheaper connector, which means you will save money on consumables over time. The only challenge with the Mafell is you will not have the lateral tolerance, which is afforded with both the Lamello and the Domino. So your layout will have to be more accurate. Portable joinery machines are extremely convenient and time-saving devices in the shop. For the DIYer and the hobbyist, you have to ask yourself, how much is your time worth, and is it worth the extremely high cost of entry? The Festool Domino comes in at the cheapest with a starting price of $1,355.74. For the DF500, keep in mind that there is an updated version that has been announced and should be coming out sometime in the near future. There's also a battery-powered DF500 that's also been announced, and we're waiting on pricing for both of those. Next up, we have the Mafell dual doweler, which you can buy the DDF40. We're not talking about the bigger one. It comes in at $1,492, and that price has pretty much been stable throughout the tariffs and such, so that's a fairly positive thing. If you did want to get the bigger Mafell, it comes in at the same price at the $1,492. So you can also keep that in mind. Whereas if you go back to the Festool Domino, the higher one is over $1,800, the DF700. Finally, we have the Lamello Zeta P2. It comes in at a staggering $2,000 to $2,175 for the corded option, with the difference being the carbide versus the diamond tip blade. Now, the diamond blade alone, if you decided you wanted to upgrade later, sells for $285 by itself on Colonial Saw. So if you think you want the diamond blade, you might as well go ahead and pay the $2,175 and get it included with the machine, as opposed to adding another $285 to the $2,000 base carbide blade price tag. Alternatively, you can buy a battery-powered Zeta P2, which is available for sale now, and it starts at $2,250 and it goes all the way up to $2,650. That would be with your battery and your charger. The first price would be bare tool only. So as you can see, these are very, very expensive machines, and it's more so for if you're a DIYer and a hobbyist. It's more so if you just have the money that you can burn to pay for it, because like in my case, since I don't run a business, I don't sell products or build things like that for people, that's just a negative deficit for me. Now, I get my time back in the shop because it makes it more convenient to join pieces of material together. However, I won't make that money back just by owning the machine. I do save a lot of time though. So you have to decide for yourself if the time savings is worth that type of investment. And it is always nice to have a good quality tool in the shop. Many of you that have tools that are higher quality, you know what I'm talking about. When you buy something that works well and is very efficient and effective for you in the shop, it just makes being in the shop that much more pleasant. These joinery devices as a whole allow you to not have to like make your own mortise and tenon joints. You don't have to go, you know, to the low end and use something like a pocket hole, which I'm not looking down on pocket holes. It's just more of a situation aesthetically. Using these devices can give you better quality results, more professional looking results. So it's just something to consider. When you purchase a portable joinery system, I believe you have to consider the cost of the connectors. Across the board, the Mafell comes in at the cheapest overall, as you can purchase an assortment of 400 dowels for $10.87 on Amazon, which works out to about 37 cents per unit. Now, I'm sure if you look around, you can find them for a cheaper cost than that, because this particular assortment has various sizes of the dowels in one container, but that's still 400 units for $10.87. By comparison, the Festool Domino comes in multiple price points, and you can get the domino connectors for as little as 11 cents per unit if you purchase the 1140 count 6x40 millimeter dowel package for $126.40. That is, however, just a single domino size. Alternatively, you can purchase the domino tenon sustainer assortment set, which comes with the 6x40, the 8x50, the 5x30, the 8x40, and the 10x50 millimeter dowels. It also comes with the extra domino cutters. You get the 4, the 5, the 6, the 8, and the 10, and you also get the sustainer. But for that investment, you are going to be paying $348.74. With the domino, you have a varying range, so if you only use the smaller connectors, you could possibly come out cheaper than the dowels. However, overall, if you're using all the different sizes, I think it's going to be a little bit more expensive using the domino than it would be going with a typical off-the-shelf dowel. The other thing is, I can go into my local hardware store and get some basic dowels. They will be more expensive if I do that, but I can do that. Whereas for the dominoes, unless you have a Woodcraft in your area or one of those types of stores, Hartville Hardware, you're going to have to order them online. So if you run out of connectors, you're going to have to, you know, plan that into whatever build that you have. In conclusion, I hope that this video was helpful at giving the audience more information about these machines. I understand it's not super in depth. I didn't go through a whole lot of examples with these machines. If that's something that you'd like to see, you can let me know that in the future. But for right now, what I wanted to just focus on is basically an overarching view of how I see these individual machines, and then comparing some of the obvious details that people may overlook when they become infatuated with buying a independent joinery machine like one of these 3 devices. Now, personally, after purchasing all of them, obviously I have zero excuse. I cannot make sense of me buying all of the machines, other than the fact that I happen to have the money at the time and I chose to decide to compare one versus the other. I can't justify that, and I'm not even going to try. But I also have to say I can't even justify buying one, simply because if you do not work in an industry where you're making money using a device like this, it's just an expense. It's like going to a concert or going on a vacation. As a woodworker, it's a joy to work with tools like this in the shop, but it does not pay for itself in the sense of monetary gain if you're just a DIYer or if you're just a hobbyist. But it does pay for itself in the sense of your time being returned to you, and being that if you don't want to, you don't have to do hand tenon work. You don't have to use pocket holes if that's not something that you're not into. You don't have to do simple butt joints. In the case of something like the Lamello Zeta P2, one of the reasons why I purchased that one is I thought that, hey, maybe I can get away with not ever having clamps. I actually bought the Zeta P2 before I even bought an assortment of clamps for my shop, because I felt like, well, if I'm learning woodworking and I'm mocking up projects, I thought that the tensile fittings would be great for being able to put things together, see how it looks, and see what kind of improvements I needed to make without having to dispose of the actual connector, because the tensile connectors can come back and can go together and come back apart again. Same thing with the Climax. Those are knockdown fittings that you could put together and take apart. And so I felt like, for myself personally, the Zeta P2 is an excellent tool for mock-ups. That doesn't mean you can't build final products with it. You can. You just have to add glue to your joints like you would have to do with the Domino and also the Mafell Dowel. It just seems to be very convenient with the knockdown fittings with the Zeta, and then also those tensile fittings, as far as, you know, as I said, I'm just repeating myself, for mock-up type things. Now, as I said before, if I had to choose one, I could only get one. At this point, I would probably go with the Domino. Obviously, it's the cheaper one. It has competitive prices for the Dominoes by comparison to both the Mafell Dual Dowler and then also the Zeta P2, which, you know, has some eye-watering prices. But as I said, I'm happy to have all of these in my shop. And, you know, if I was in that position, I would get the Zeta P2 cordless just to see and compare that. I would get the new Domino that's been announced and also the new battery-powered Domino, just for my own personal experience. I like comparing one thing versus the other for my own personal reasons. And then, you know, having this YouTube platform gives me the ability to share that with the public and, you know, possibly make a little bit of my money back in that way. However, that's not, you know, obviously the expectation, because at the end of the day, I have a video for the Zeta P2, the Dominoes, and all of those, and, you know, probably combined, they have not made me back $50 combining all of them. And as you can see, the prices of these machines, they're pretty expensive. So anyways, I just want to thank you guys for taking time to check out the video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Take care.